Last night I slipped through the seams of the dream, and I woke up in the night when I was physically hit and flipped over a car in a jog, and fell into a portal where I met 5 different beings who gave me the breath of life again. Now, the night itself in question I don't particularly remember much of. I do remember going on the jog. I do remember running up and past the Beverly Hills houses off of Catalina Street, and where things get, there's a blank of space is where I look to one house, I hear a screech, and I remember my foot going under the car a little bit before I punched off of it. But in real life, that's where things just get black and I hear the noises. What I remember is I punched off the hood. I remember the sound of me hitting the ground, and I thought at that point I died. Like, I felt like someone took a sledgehammer to my back and the life was just drained out of me. However, in the dream I saw it all very specifically. I actually pushed off the whole front of the car, and how I ended up flipping over the hood, I guess, was when I hit off, I turned myself and I almost cleared out the side of the car. But what ended up happening, and this makes a lot of sense now, because it hurts, as I turned out, the driver or the passenger side mirror hooked my hip just enough to then fling me, in which I slid over the top roof of the car. I fell on my back, but when I was coming down, I've always had this messed up muscle in my arm. I thought it was from me hitting the ground. No, it's because when I hit the ground, most of me hit the ground, but my arm hit the curb and pressed the muscle up, which thankfully I didn't land on my head on the curb, because then I probably wouldn't be here at this point. But the moment of interest that has always stuck out to me is me being visited by 5 other beings and given the breath of life. So let me start a little bit at the beginning of the night. I was very stressed with work itself. It was one of those, like, what am I doing with myself moments, in life in general, what have you. Romantically, about the same. I was just coming off a lot of flings, not purposefully. They were all actually people I really cared about, but I seemed to be at the time the person you float away with in a fantasy and then don't get called the next day, or nothing really comes of it. Well, I guess all of this thoughts, beliefs, what have you, kind of culminated in me getting off a night of work a little late. It started to get dark. It was April 6th of 2018, so at this point it got darker earlier too. And I just decided to, around 6 or so, just go for a jog. It was one of those nights though where you kept telling, like, your brain kept trying to persuade you not to do certain things. So me getting ready to run outside was, yeah, you shouldn't go running tonight. You're tired. Just stay home, do some editing work. No, it's fine. I'll go for like an hour or so run. You're on your run, and then you're like, oh, maybe I should go on a new route. Like, what happens if I go right? Your brain's like, no, just stick to the basic route. It's quick, you know it, and the elevations, everything, you can speed through it. No, I'm gonna take this right. So you take the right, you keep going. Your brain's like, maybe you should turn back now. It's getting really dark. You're like, no, it's fine. I got like another mile in me. Just keep going. And then I ended up around Beverly Hills, Catalina Street, because I like to occasionally, at the time I lived in West Hollywood, I'd run from West Hollywood through Beverly Hills and kind of like house look or hunt, what have you. Like, I could ever afford one of these houses some days, but it was kind of fun to be like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. That one's fun. I would love that yard. So I continued to run, and then at one point, elephants to me are good luck symbols. I see them all the time in life, and I see them as a symbol of life in a way. I remember running and looking at all the houses, and I see an elephant decoration on the back of one house, like a little symbol of sorts on the tree. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I keep running at this point. It's me going this way on the sidewalk, another jogger going this way, and I see a car coming. So what I think the driver was trying to do was he sees this jogger and he's trying to be smart and avoid that jogger and continue rushing. Meanwhile, I'm coming up this way, the intersection's here. So from what I can gather, because I see it all in the corner of my eye, the guy must have, to avoid this guy, decided to stop 100 feet or so short of the stop sign to get that stop in, to then rush through the stop sign and go around him. But what ended up happening is he ended up stopping here, avoiding this guy, and then rushing through right when I was coming into the intersection. So he ended up coming this way right at me. But again, bringing up elephants in the same house, the funniest thing is I think elephants, symbol importance. They also had an elephant statue on their front patio. So as I was going full speed when I saw the first elephant, started to slow down and look at it, kept this pace, saw the second elephant, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Thankfully, I wasn't going full speed, because I think if I had been, I actually would have either gone completely under or over the car. So double elephants, double lucky night. I still got hit, but I consider myself alive and lucky. So I'm stopping like, oh, that's a really cool elephant. Car comes about here, my left foot starts to go under, and I just freaked out. My first instinct was to punch off the hood, and I think that's when I did that. I screwed up around here, because now there's a bone that's kind of out of place and juts a bit, and it's just been an ongoing issue. But I luckily punched off, almost turned completely, so my right hip was now facing his passenger's mirror. That's when it hooked, and I got flung, and I saw it. I went to black in real life. I don't remember anything, but in the dream I saw it and I felt it. It hit my hip, which makes a lot of sense because my hip's been screwed up too. This whole side down's a little weird. He hits my hip and I get flung pretty much over the hood. I do a little slide turn. His car keeps going, so when I fall, I land just on my back. I do remember feeling my head bounce off the ground. But at that point, like I said, the feeling of it in real life was like it was weird, like a sledgehammer just hit me in the back. And I remember it felt like all the air just shot out of my chest, and I just laid there cold for a second. Just dead fish completely. But this is where things get interesting in the dream. So initially I saw in real life too. It was equivalent to, if any of you have seen Stranger Things or Deep Cut, more particularly Kingdom Hearts. The opening in Kingdom Hearts 1 where Sora falls down into an abyss. I remember I was on the ground, breath of air came out of me, and the next thing I know, I came to and woke up, but it was all black around me. It was kind of underwater, overexposed black. It wasn't a completely black abyss. I could still see a little bit of texture and movement around me off in the distance, but it was all black. And I just remember there being a ringing in my ear. Nothing hurt at that point though. It was just I was there. My arm lay, I didn't have any feeling. I was just kind of there. And I just remember though that I couldn't stand, so when I came to, I was sitting up and I was looking around, and I do remember distinctly thinking, well, shit. My parents are gonna be so mad, I think I just died. This sucks. Just very quickly in my brain. I just thought to myself, this was the end. Yeah, this is a terrible way to go, but great, you should listen to your brain. But where things get more fascinating for me, and I've thought about this for the past, if it was the past 6 years, over 6 years now, almost 7 years now. I always wondered what this symbol meant. I saw a triangle in the distance. I actually ended up painting on the wall. I'll show that in a second, but from the distance, there was a triangle in the distance. It wasn't perfectly upright triangle, it was kind of off to the side, but it was an off little triangle that started to spread open, and behind it was just this purplish swirling magenta. It was really cool to look at, cool not to perceive at the time. But it opens up, and it was very bizarre because 5 silhouettes emerged. I could never see their faces for the beginning of this, but I remember distinctively 5 silhouettes came forth from the triangle, but they were all very distinct enough. Like one looked like a lawyer, you could see like a dress pants, and I think they were carrying a book. Another was like a little raver, you could see that she had little bottoms on, maybe, I think, yeah, two-piece for sure, and like crazy hair. Another one was like a yoga lyra artist. Another one was an athlete, a sporty type, and then the final one was just like the girl next door. It was basically your spiritual Spice Force 5 in a way. It was interesting. But as they got closer, their faces revealed and I saw those archetypes. I always wondered why it was 5 different individuals like this. I knew it was meaningful in a certain way. One of them, it looked like I had encountered them in the past. I couldn't make out their faces because the interesting part about them was once I saw them and their figures and how they looked, their faces would never stay the same for more than a few seconds. So their features, it was almost like kind of like a hallucinogenic trip on mushrooms, if any of you have ever tried that. Their eyes and their mouth, as soon as it would form someone, it would then shift around and turn into another. So every few seconds, each of their faces would like cycle through, but they were all the same faces that related to their archetype. And then they walked forth to me. They just kept walking. Each was smiles. Each was very, like, all of them were very warm. I remember feeling nothing until they came forth and presented themselves and walked forward. And then I just felt like happy and just warm inside. And the whole time I was sitting, and they keep getting closer, I kept trying to say things like, who are you? What's this? Like, what is this? Is this the end? Can you help at all? They all just smiled the whole time with shifting faces, didn't say anything. And from there, the first one, the athlete type, politely, she's the first one that came to me. She came forward and then she put her fingers on my forehead and like pushed me back down. I was slowly going down so I could see all the other women coming around me. All 5 of them were around me. She laid me back down, and she laid me back down. The women were in a full circle around me. I could look up and see them. They were all like smiling, still with shifting faces. At this point, I thought that this was some sort of period that I would like cycle through my memories and finally pass through to the next life, or however things would go down in the black abyss, I guess. But no, what ended up happening was, as I was laying there, just ready for whatever's next, they all started to slowly lean in, all 5 of them. They leaned in so far enough till they all touched heads, their 5 heads all touching each other by foreheads. Stops for a few seconds, but then their heads started to like melt, sink into each other. Like they all started to press together until they turned into one face with one pair of eyes and lips that I could finally make out. And it was one of the sweetest, most heavenly faces I could ever imagine. And this face then, defying the law of physics, even more so at this point, or reality, the face then comes closer to mine. All the women sort of kneel down and get the face far enough to me. It stops for a few seconds. Still pretty far because like they're kneeling down, their heads are all together, 5 different people. But then the face actually drops further and further, almost as if the face was itself holding, but like melting or elongating down even more to me. Till the face finally touched mine, 2 pair of lips, 2 eyes. Our lips met, and then suddenly all of the air shot back into me. And then I finally just went like, and I woke up on the actual ground of Catalina Street in Beverly Hills with the freaked out driver before me. It's like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay? And I don't remember saying this, but apparently I was in so much shock. According to him, the first thing I said was, I don't have time to get hit by a car, I have to keep going. And I do remember I almost started to run away from him and continue my jog. But thankfully he stopped me. I think I just remember there being like not only a shot of air, but a shot of life in me. Like, I was probably still adrenaline too, but I was like, I need to do everything I want to do like right now. I want to do everything right now. My arm or my hip didn't still hurt at this point. It was probably just all running on adrenaline, but I felt motivated to do everything. And I always wondered what the archetypes meant, but what was very, very, very beautiful, but incredibly, I don't want to say heartbreaking, I guess somber about this, about this dream version was I said the figures were shifting faces the whole time, every few seconds. This time versus the first time their faces didn't make sense. This time their faces were all filling up with people I've seen, partners I've had or tried things with or tried dating, had flings with, unintentional flings with, or just moments with. Women who I just very much care for and appreciate. All 5 figures, every time their face flicked, it was one of those faces. The actress, the yoga instructor, the aerialist fascial worker who actually helped me after this accident heal my hip out more and stretch my muscles back so I could function again. The sweet dancer, the sweet performer, the mother of one, the school teacher, the model, the very fun woman who I met rock climbing one day. Just everyone was there, smiling and just not mean or anything at all, just walking forth towards me to give me like a breath of life kiss. And I always knew this up until the moment. I was very grateful for every single one of these interactions because I think I never even have any ill will or bad blood to any of the women I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I've always felt that I've been kind of lucky because even in the worst scenario, it's someone just simply saying, sorry, it's not going to work out. They've always all been the sweetest, but this time, I got to see all of them in the same place, all with a smile, in a way coming towards my need. And when I got the breath of life kiss this time, and actually as opposed to wake up on the ground in real life, I woke up in my bed, I felt the immediate word that came to mind was unworthy, but I think it's unbelievably grateful for all of these people. I can truly say I got to meet and see the sweetest women of the world. All of them. Because really it never worked out with any of them due to timing or just misunderstandings here and there, but regardless, when things ended, I didn't have any crazy fight stories or this or that. They were always the sweetest and held the most grace. And to this day, I still really care about and think about some of them, but more than anything, I appreciate them. And I guess I felt unworthy because I felt that I could be better as a person. I could have done things better. Not that I didn't try, but myself, I could have, I don't even really know what to say. I just feel so incredibly lucky to have had these interactions and moments with all of them. And upon waking up, it just instantly, again, I felt a renewed life. I just want to, in any way possible, move forward and be a better version of myself to match the energy that they gave me back. Particularly, both in life, this dream, but spiritually, yeah. it made me question who I was as a person. I don't think I'm a villain or anything of the sorts, but I think we as a people tend to focus on the negatives, or look on the negative moments. But here, I just woke up in bed and I took a minute just to think about all of them, smiled, and just instantly was like, you need to be the best version of yourself for when the next one comes along. They are all wonderful people. You yourself are a wonderful person, and you can always try a little harder to be more wondrous. I guess that's the lesson. Just be better, upwards and onward. But I think the final note I would like to add is just thank you. Thank you to all those women, and thank you, universe, for all of the energy. And through all the chaos and all the odds and circumstances, even if things didn't work out timing-wise, I still got to have those moments. And I will always cherish them. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for listening. I'd really like to hear if you have any stories of you dreaming of or revisiting a past traumatic moment yourselves. But also just go out and just enjoy life. And if you are with someone, just think about all the fine aspects of that person. Maybe give them a little more leeway, and just especially give them a big hug and tell them you appreciate them. Because you're very lucky to have them.